Hi, so my name is Elias. Today I'll be talking to you about the Sacramento Kings. So the Sacramento Kings actually moved to Sacramento in 1986, and they used to be the Kansas City Kings. And after they moved, it was actually a family friend of ours who brought them here. They were known as the Benvenuti family. And in the early ages, they actually played at an unknown arena, but then they moved on to the more well-known arena today, Powerball Balance, or what was known before as Arc Arena. In the 90s, the team did okay. They were more of an electric team, but their record wasn't very good. They had some star players like Mitch Richmond, had a bunch of bench players like Corliss Williamson, Otis Thorpe, and they weren't a powerhouse, but they were a very fun team to watch. Afterwards, the Benvenuti family actually gave out of the Kings ownership, and the Blues bought them over. And as a result, they actually bought in Jeff Petrie, who really helped build the team and develop them. So in '98, they actually added a really good draft pick, Jason Williams. They also made a lot of different acquisitions, such as Peja Stojakovic from the draft the year before that. As well, they kept Corliss Williamson. They brought on Chris Webber for a trade for Mitch Richmond. And they also brought in Vlade Divac and a couple other players. This really started building the team. So from '98, their record actually improved during the lockout season. They even made it to the finals where they played the Jazz, who had made it the year before. And they almost beat them, but they ended up losing and had to compete the next years. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, they kept competing. In 2002 specifically, they brought in Mike Bibby, who was a really good point guard, and he played actually for Vancouver for a while. They traded him for Jason Williams, who was our star point guard. He was pretty electric. But when we brought in Mike Bibby, the team did really good in 2002. They made it to the Western Conference Finals where they actually played the Lakers. That was one of the most controversial playoff series in NBA history, especially because there's a lot of different controversy over whether it was the refs who had set these games, and because the Lakers had a lot of controversial calls in their direction during Game 6, which the Sacramento Kings were playing to win. They eventually lost the series and they didn't make it to the playoffs. 2003 and 2004 seasons, Chris Webber experienced a lot of injuries, who was our star player. And so while we were a good team, we did not perform as well as we did during the late 90s and the early 2000s. And after that period, it was around this time where the team actually began debuilding, as I'd like to call it. The Maloofs were experiencing a lot of financial difficulties with their different investments. And they actually sold a lot of players. They traded C. Webb, they got rid of Mike Bibby, they got rid of Peja Stojakovic, and the team was actually really bad. And so throughout that time, they got rid of a lot of talent. They did not want to rebuild, and the team eventually led into despair. And so recently, in the past few years, we've had a lot of really good draft picks. But the problem has been we've been unable to generate revenue because of our poor records. And as a result, today, the team is now potentially being bought out by a Seattle group. And so we will actually be potentially moving to Seattle. So that's a little about the Kings' history, a little about what they were before as a playoff power, as a team powerhouse, and where they might be moving today. Thank you.